This is my HBX Devastator, and I'm kind of getting into the end state today, and I've added a ESC that can manage with an SCX24 battery that I actually mount sideways. And what I've done is I've taken the Jeep C10 wheels off the front and installed the RC4 drive stamped steel rims. They come in 3 pieces. You put them together on the front axle of this with scramblers. That's going to give it a lot of frame clearance that it doesn't have on the Jeep tires, and also a lot more grip. With the stamped steel wheels, it'll give it a little more of a lower CG as well. And you can see here, I'll just take the camera above it, the difference. What I've done is well, here's the difference in wheel track. You can see on the front, I've done the front ones for you already, and I've mounted the hub, with the hex on there, that 6-sided portion, with the stamped steel RC4 drive wheels. I know most of you guys know you can mount them on either side of the dish, and in this case I mounted the dish inverted so that it's deep in, and that gives it a nice bump out. And the difference is pretty dramatic. What you can see here is the wheel track. It completely exposes that entire assembly that the wheel bolts to. And in the back of the vehicle, you can see how much narrow it is. There's no offset at all. And with the RC4 drive wheels, there's probably I'd say about 1 millimeter of offset. There's none here. You can see that the inside of the hub assembly is inside of the rim, and here it's all on the outside. So I'll show you how to do that. Because the HBX Devestator uses a larger wheel nut, you can't use any type of wrench to get in there around the nut here, because it's different size. And if you do have a bigger one, there's not enough room between the little wheel bolts that hold the rim together and the nut itself to get the tool in there. And I also have one of these little tools that's kind of a multi-wrench, and this one isn't even long enough to reach the nut with the tire on. So I couldn't take this wheel off like that if I wanted to. I'll show you how I install those. I've chosen the black RC4 drive stamped steel rims, and you can see how that hub assembly is deep inside the rim here. And I've taken it apart into its 3 pieces. Take the screws out, and this is basically how it goes together. But normally it's got this ring in there, and it's like that with the hub on the inside. What I'm going to do is I'm going to take the hub off of the main piece. It's really easy. Sorry about hitting the camera. But hub's out, and we're going to attach it to this side. First thing I'll do is pull the wheel nut off. For reference, I'm going to show you the size difference between the two. The HBX Devestator uses a much larger wheel nut than the SCX24. This is how I get this hub assembly to work with this wheel so that I can hook it on. Later on, there just is not physical room to make this happen. So I put the hub on first, that I popped out of the center of the rim. And this wheel nut, it's one of those nylon locking ones. I put it in inverted, so the rounded side goes in. And the reason for that is because if I didn't, as I screw it in, the rounded side would be up, and as it goes deeper into the there's like a rim around that, and this nut will go into the rim, and when it goes down into the rim, eventually you'll lose grip with the wrench. And with it inverted, it works really well because it causes the rounded side to go in, and it's fine. It doesn't hurt anything if these go on backwards or not. It's important to not over tighten these. Even a little bit will shorten the motor life if it's too tight. So if I can't move the other wheel and have it bounce, see that's bouncing, that's too tight. That would be too tight if it just stopped. But if it bounces back and forth when you secure it, that's what you want. So I'll get this tightened down off camera just for the sake of time. All right, so even the hub can bounce back a little bit if I flick the other tire, and that's how I like it to be. So now it's pretty simple from here. The hub is secure, so I'm going to put the wheel on like this, and then the tire. This is kind of a critical part. When you put the tire on, since you're assembling the rim on the hub on the car instead of putting it together first like normal, it's a really good idea to make sure that your tread is going in the proper direction, because some tires have directional tread and the front of the car is that way, so I want the tread to be going this way. Once I'm sure of that, it's just a matter of lining it up, assembling the wheels, and screwing them together. And I'll show you the final product at the end here. But you're actually doing things backwards just by putting that on first, because once you put this wheel together, there just is not physical room to bolt that hub on later once you put the screws in. Look for the hole that lines up perfectly with that bottom of the V. Other ones, you know, are obviously in different locations, and they're symmetrical here, so you got one on each side. When I put the rim together, if you just put them together any which way, I mean, these can be off and it won't look very good. It'll be all staggered, and that's not how real wheels look. I want to do it once because I'm putting this thing on the car. Anyway, I look for those equal points where the V points right at the hole, and then it's just a matter of hooking these two pieces together, bolting them into the truck. I'll work on lining up the parts. I can show you. Doing that kind of backwards. This is how it goes. There we go. Same thing. Lining the V's up with the hole, and now it's ready to go on the truck. So it's just a matter of putting a screw through it and getting the first one on. When you put these RC four-wheel drive wheels together, if you put the first one in, the first screw in, so that it barely catches the threads in the hub, that's the ticket. Because if you crank them down, then it's going to open that rim up kind of like a clamshell, and you're never going to get the other screws in. So just get them tacked a little bit so that it catches threads, and you don't have to squeeze them at all. You don't have to do any forceful things. They go right together. So once you the way I do it is I install one and then the opposite, and I just get them barely tacked in, just barely, and then kind of progressively go opposite sides here until you get it down enough that you can put the next two in, and then the next two, and then when you're all done, go around it kind of like you would with a regular car, and tighten them opposite, and don't over tighten them. They don't need to be super tight, but there is a cumulative effect once all 6 screws are in, because it does tighten up this. You want it tightened evenly or your rim will wobble, and there is a difference on the same axle of the offset. This one I can see this entire assembly all the way out to here. On the other side it's covered up to about here because the wheel is the offset is just, it's deep in the dish, and on this one the dish is not deep, and I've got this spacer here that is the bushing we bolted on earlier. So I'll finish up this truck and show you the final product in the next shot. And there's the finished product. All 4 wheels done. I timed that last one, how long it took to basically take the wheel off, take the rim apart out of the bag, and then reinstall it. I did the whole thing in 6 minutes and 8 seconds. You know, expect to spend a half hour or so on your car when you go ahead and do this, because I mean, I've done this a few times and it goes pretty quick. But I'll show you, I'll zoom in here. You can see the nut here. There is no space between the corner of the nut and the screw. That's why you have to put the hub assembly on the vehicle first and then assemble the wheel on the hub. If I decide to take these wheels off, I have to remove these screws here and separate the wheel and then take the hub off from there. But this car is now in its end state with the wheels. There's not much I can do else for it. It is pretty much how it's going to be. Anyway, maybe I could have added some brass weights to it. I might do it later on the front, but there's plenty of room in there to put a brass hex in there, and I might do that later. It would take me 15 minutes at most, but that is how I do my RC 4-wheel drive stamped steel wheels. I hated them when I first did them because they were just tedious and I wasn't sure on the process of how to do it quickly and properly. But you can see I got all the treads pointing the right direction, and that's important because I don't want to do it twice. But anyway, that's all for today. Hope you're enjoying the videos.